It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Kyle Benedict as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. Great to have you in studio with us today. Yavapai County Search and Rescue Team back in studio. They were here about a month and a half ago to talk about the Hug a Tree and Survive program, which is going on in the local libraries where they're teaching young people that it's always better to just stay put and hug a tree and wait for the rescuers to come to them.
Exactly.
Paul Lyra is in studio today. He's the Yavapai County Search and Rescue Team Manager. Welcome to studio.
Hey, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
But you were sitting in the other room.
I was sitting in the engineer's room watching the presentation, and it went well. It's good.
So we've got Paul back, and we are going to talk about all the kind of the different units that you have. You're a manager of the backcountry unit, though.
No, I'm the manager of the quad unit.
Team.
The quad team. That's the specialized unit. We have 7 specialized units that the sheriff can call on for specific resources depending on the type of search. So the backcountry is our technical rescue team. They're the individual that you see hanging on the rope at the during a search if we're doing an extraction of a subject. They also do technical cliff rescues and those type of rescues. They're also trained in swift water, and actually today there's a training going down in Bullhead City on swift water and some swift water competition.
That's going to be a hot one.
Yeah. Good there's a lot of water.
Yeah, that is going to be a hot one. I know that team was actually called out over the weekend. You don't have any details, but we're talking about it today.
Exactly.
There was a gal who was lost out in the canyon in Clarkdale, and they had to go down and rappel down and get her out of there. So that was interesting. So you're in charge of the quad unit.
Correct.
Okay, you're the manager of that.
I'm the manager of that specialized unit, and I'm the chairman of the YCSRT Board of Directors. And there's a staff of 5 on the Board of Directors. And then the unit managers make up the rest of that Board of Directors. Okay. So, and then those are all unit managers for each specific group. One is a 4x4 manager, which is commonly known as the Jeeps. I'm the quad unit manager, which is the quads and the side-by-sides. We have a scuba unit. We have a search dog unit, which is most recognizable, I think, probably in the number of communities. We have a southern unit, which is out of Wickenburg, and they handle the southern part of the county primarily. And when they need additional resources, then we'll deploy units from up here, or if they need a specialized unit like backcountry, the sheriff would deploy that unit down there to assist. And then we have the mounted unit, which is clearly the horses, and Craig Stevens is a manager for that. He needs always volunteers, so anyone out there that enjoys this type of work and enjoys riding, you can get in touch with him. We'll talk about that later.
Sure.
So that pretty much covers all the units, and each one of them has a specialty. The way it works is that when a person calls the sheriff's office and says, you know, I have a lost family member, or someone is overdue, and I need assistance and I need search and rescue. The first thing that takes place is there's a deputy sheriff that handles the forestry. That's the individual he'll deploy first. He'll go out, talk to the person, get as much information as possible, either on the phone or face-to-face, depending on the logistics. Once he gets that information, he'll do an initial evaluation of the circumstances involved in it, and then based on the terrain, that deputy will then become what we term the incident commander, at least initially. So as the incident commander, he'll contact myself or another member of YCSRT to do a call out, and he will tell us what resource he wants. I want backcountry technical rescue resource. I have a canyon, a cliff, I need an air vac, that type of thing. Or he'll call out and say, I need the search dogs, and I need the search dog unit at this location because we have a vehicle or an item of the subject and we want the dogs to pursue that.
Gotcha.
And it can expand to the 4x4 Jeeps or the quad unit like myself and my team, and we'll deploy to the more challenging terrain and difficult areas to get to. But because we're still motorized, we can still cover a reasonable amount of terrain in a relatively short period of time when it comes to search and rescue.
Sure.
So then the incident commander, who's the deputy that was out there, if the initial search, the initial response isn't productive, and then he'll upgrade it. He'll upgrade it and call additional units, and then he'll notify, in our case, Sergeant Joy, who's a sergeant over, and he'll notify the sergeant that we need to upgrade the incident.
Now, when that happens, the upgrade, is there a certain amount of time that has to go by? Is there like maybe a 4-hour window that says, okay, we've done this type of search for 4 hours, it's time to upgrade to the next one, or is it just based incident to incident?
It's based incident to incident, okay, because each incident is so unique, and each subject is so unique. We go from a 2-year-old child that's missing up to a 65-year-old individual suffering from dementia. We go from the perimeter of a rural area, a residential area, to mountainous terrain such as Crown King, 711 trails, or up to Mingus Mountain. So each search is extremely unique. Fortunately, the deputies that are on the Forest Patrol with Sergeant Joy, and there's Mark Hooten and Tommy Tillman and Adam Hansen, are very experienced. So
they know their areas.
They know their areas really well.
They'd have to.
And what they do is, so based on the subject, the terrain, the time of day, weather conditions, all that comes into play, because an upgrade during a nice fall day or spring day that's been kind of warm during the day, but it's not really that cold at night, that gives you a little more flexibility, because the subject is more than likely going to be able to, their survival time is quite a bit larger. Whereas if you come into the summertime and you're hitting 110 degrees or 100 degrees and it's daytime, that incident can be upgraded dramatically within hours. Literally, because we got to get this person now found.
Gotcha.
And then that's when the deployment of Rescue 1, which is the sheriff's helicopter, that'll get deployed to allow not only aerial search, but also to help the incident command team with the logistics of where personnel are at and so forth, and also guide ground units from the air if they see a subject or they see something that lends itself to the subject being in a certain direction. So with Rescue 1 up there, they're the eyes and ears as well as searching for the teams that are on the ground.
That's been a huge asset, hasn't it?
It's a tremendous asset. Tremendous asset. Yeah, Captain Noonan usually flies it with an observer, and he's been with the sheriff's office for, this is just a rough estimate, 15 to 18 years.
Yeah, as long as I've been doing this, I know who Jeff is.
Oh, you know Jeff? Yeah, because Jeff was our forest sergeant at one time, so I know Jeff very well. We became friends over time. So very knowledgeable individual and really focused. So
we have to take our first break.
That sounds like a winner
already. Paul Ira's in studio today. He's the manager of the Yavapai County Search and Rescue Teams. I'm Paul David. This is Countywide, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Orkin has pest control down to a science.
When your business chooses Orkin's Precision Protection Program, you get a tailored pest control program for your specific industry and environment.
Your business can benefit from over a century of experience, training, and scientific knowledge that define the Orkin man.
Maximum protection, minimum exposure, backed by one of the industry's most comprehensive guarantees.
Choose your locally owned and operated Northern Arizona Orkin and get more than an exterminator. Get an expert.
Mom. Dear.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for information on how to provide even better care for the person who wants to care of you.
Don't let E. coli mosh with your food. An estimated 3,000 Americans die from a foodborne illness each year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So always separate raw meat from vegetables. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to Countywide. Paul Lyra in studio today, Yavapai County Search and Rescue Team Manager, and we're talking about pretty much all the divisions. Generally,
yeah, all the specialized units, right.
We've learned that it depends on the terrain and what gets called out for the search, and a lot depends on that, and it all starts with the deputy that goes out there first and kind of,
it evaluates
the area and knows the area pretty well, because that is his area or her area to take care of. How did you, I always like to ask this, but how did you get involved? It might spark, a thought in somebody else's head out there.
Yeah, I got involved about 10 years ago, and primarily to give back to the community and people. I retired from another state and came here and found out that there was a need for search and rescue and volunteers, and then I became involved in that fashion. And I had known other law enforcement people that were family, friends. I grew up with that type of thing, and knew about some of the needs that they were faced with, or challenges, that they were faced with. And here in Arizona, it's a huge state, lots of rural areas. It's a lot of open space.
Yeah.
There's a lot of visitors that come to our beautiful state to enjoy the beautiful state, and some come not realizing that it's not Disneyland.
Right.
And they get here and they go to beautiful places like Sedona. They leave Phoenix, they drive up to Sedona. It's a beautiful day. It's in the fall.
Get on that trail and they say, hey, let's go take a picture over there off of that rock right over there. They go over there, take that picture, they turn around and go, ooh, where's that trail?
That's exactly.
And then you guys get called.
Yeah. And then we get called, and then that's kind of a backcountry unit resource that the sheriff would call initially, and then the other units can supplement backcountry depending on the type of trails and that type of thing. But that's what generally happens. So with the resource limitations of the rural areas, the budget restrictions of the counties and so forth, some of the counties. Volunteers, especially here in Yavapai County, are greatly appreciated by Sheriff Masher and also the Board of Supervisors.
They are, and there's a lot of them. Over
we
the
get a
years
tremendous
I've been
amount.
doing this show, I am surprised at how many volunteers we actually have in Yavapai County. There are a bunch.
There are a bunch because
we're people.
Yeah, exactly, and we're one organization. There are several search and rescue organizations in Yavapai County, and to add to the resources depending on the need. Because besides search and rescue, we support fire evacuation. We also do evidence searches when requested, because we're a sheriff's resource. We'll do evidence searches, and when we
get
you
respond to flooding calls,
fire calls. Our backcountry is swiftwater rescue, so people kind of smile about that. But during the monsoons, some of our mild streams and rivers around here, they become rapidly flowing, and they'll sweep you away. They're dangerous. They'll sweep you away, and you'll get stuck under a log, and the outcome won't be very positive. So you need to be aware of that, and that's what our swiftwater team, which is part of backcountry, provides as a resource to the sheriff's office.
You brought in some things.
Sure.
And I noticed that, I was telling you off camera that law enforcement guests come in, and I noticed their belt gets a little bit heavier each time they're in, because there's something else they've got to have to deal with people who don't want to deal with them.
Right.
But technology has become quite an asset to search and rescue.
Yeah.
And I think it all starts, and what we really probably should point out is that thing needs to be charged and in your pocket whenever you go out the door for any type of walk or hike.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't have to be a smartphone. Any phone, smartphone obviously has more capabilities, but if we can get a ping off a cell phone and your battery's charged, it will reduce the area that we have to search for the subject. So
now, do I have to call you to get that ping, or is that you could just pull up my phone and get that ping without that?
Right. The sheriff's office will contact the vendor and ask if there's been any communications. Number one, which is ideal, because then it reduces the area even more. And then in addition to that, we'll try and contact the individual on the cell phone. And that's from a subject standpoint. The other part that works very well, if we can contact the subject and we can talk to him or her or the child, whatever, we can reassure them that we're there, we're going to come help them. And even if they have no idea where they're at, if they can start describing the area, and we had this happen about 1.5 years ago or 2 years ago up in the Crown King area where this guy had been riding a dirt bike, had gotten lost, bike broke down, but we had communications with him. He described the area, and from the description of the area, we knew where he was.
Oh, that's great.
And then we deployed to that location, and within a couple hours, he'd been rescued and home, and all those other good things were taking place.
I imagine, too, if you're lost, just having that contact with somebody, knowing that someone's looking for you, and knowing that you're getting a general idea as to where they are, that person that's lost, it's got to be quite a relief.
It is. We've had contact with a number of subjects that have searched for, and when we've talked to them afterwards, they said it was just the fact, the ones that had the cell phone that we could reach, it was just the fact that they could hear a voice. Mm-hmm. They weren't alone anymore, and
reduces
that's the key.
That panic, I imagine.
Yeah, exactly, and reduces things that they may do that may be detrimental to themselves. You know, they may get excited and start walking off, and that's one of the worst things. And if you're lost, that you can do is continue to walk.
That's what we're teaching the kids, right? With Hug a Tree and Survive.
That's
stay in one place, and you give them that orange whistle,
right?
So they can make noise because it's louder than their voice.
That's right.
And then they can wear that orange. I believe it's an orange poncho,
right?
And then get out in the open if you hear a helicopter plane and wave your arms around. And that CD. You guys are so clever. You've got the directions on the front, and then flip it over, and you've got your
reflector on the back.
Your reflector on the back.
Yeah,
so very neat.
Yeah. So and that really helps. It's been a great program. About 600 children we've reached so far, and around 150 adults. Mm-hmm. And the surprising part of this program is what we didn't realize was that the adults, all of a sudden, it's like the light comes on. Hey, I do that when I take my family on a picnic.
I've been in that scenario.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And so it reminds them to take a little more time next time to share with their kids. You know, you need to stay within voice. Mm-hmm. You want to go further than that, we'll go for a hike tomorrow. We'll go for a hike later on.
We've talked about that before. We have like a family reunion or a picnic or something.
Right.
We've had some tragic stories over the years where there's something going on near the river, and then a child slips into the river and disappears.
Exactly.
And we've had that a couple of times over the years. So it is good to remind the adults that every now and again you just got to stop and look around.
Look around. Yeah.
We got people who forget their kids in the backseat of the car.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, I know, and I think that's kind of the sign of our society today. It's running 100 miles an hour, or maybe sound barrier speed, and
we still can't get it all done.
You can't get it all done. So when you go out on that outing, it's hard to actually really relax. And when you do, sometimes you relax and things just slip. That's all. And it happens to everyone. I had my nephew out, my nephew's son out the other day, out by Goldwater Lake, and we were just doing a little hike and stuff. And he'd gone through the program. And he had a whistle, and all I did was go around a bend to take a look at something, and within seconds, he blew the whistle. And
good for him.
I come around because he was watching a gray squirrel. I told him, "You stay here, watch the gray squirrel, and go right over here and come back." And he got nervous, excited, blew the whistle. I knew right away that he was uncomfortable.
It works.
So it works.
Take another break. Yavapai County Search and Rescue Team Manager Paul Lyra in studio today. I'm Paul David. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Cinderella found the pet that fits her perfectly. Tiana gave her pet the royal treatment. Belle found beauty where no one else did. And you can too. Share your heart. Share your love. Bring home your forever friend. Make a shelter pet part of your world. Happily Ever After begins at theshelterpetproject.org.
This is why you get by on 4 hours sleep. Why you took a second job. This is why you taught yourself how to fix the plumbing. And spend hours juggling the bills. This is why you'll do whatever it takes to keep your home. And that is why we want to help. We are making home affordable, a free government resource that can make paying the mortgage easier. Now more options are available. Call 888-995-HOPE to talk one-on-one with a housing expert today.
Orkin has pest control down to a science.
When your business chooses Orkin's Precision Protection Program, you get a tailored pest control program for your specific industry and environment.
Your business can benefit from over a century of experience, training, and scientific knowledge that define the Orkin man.
Maximum protection, minimum exposure, backed by one of the industry's most comprehensive guarantees.
Choose your locally owned and operated Northern Arizona Orkin and get more than an exterminator. Get an expert.
Welcome back to Countywide. We've got just a couple minutes left in the program. Information for you. Be with your pen and paper ready. YCSRT.org is a good website for more information. We want volunteers.
We definitely need volunteers.
Always
need volunteers. Right now, all the units need volunteers. The search dog unit has a waiting list currently. They're full, but all the other groups need volunteers. The 4x4s, the backcountry, mounted, quad unit. We're always looking for volunteers. And
some are on vacation and can't be here. Some can't do it because maybe they're still working. But there's reasons why not everybody every time can show up. And then you can go to contact us at ycsrt.org for email, and then a phone number 928-554-6264. I'll give that number again. It's 928-554-6264. Also, you've heard us talk about Hug a Tree and Survive program. We talked about that, like I said, about a month and a half ago on the show, which is, by the way, available on our website at myradioplace.com. You could watch that show. Or you can go, it's going to be in Cottonwood on June 24th, which is the day after today. Hug a Tree and Survive, the presentations from 1 to 1:30 at the Cottonwood Library.
Public
Library.
Right.
Okay. And so, yeah. Oh, there are going to be 3 of the search dogs there.
There's 3 search dogs
because that were here too.
Yeah.
Oh, the
exactly.
ones that were here. Okay.
Yeah, and the kids love them.
Oh, who doesn't? They're amazing. I mean, they're not only they're just regular dogs and pets in the house, but they've got jobs and they love doing their jobs.
Oh yeah.
And they're good at their jobs. We're out of time. But volunteers, we definitely want volunteers.
Yes, we definitely want volunteers. Call, email us, check the website. There's information on each of the different units. So it'll give you an idea which unit you might be interested in. And we'll put you in contact with the unit manager, and they'll take you through the process.
That's it. YCSRT.org. Call 554-6264. Paul.
Perfect.
Thank
you, Paul.
Appreciate it. I appreciate your time. Hopefully we'll get Craig in next time to talk about the mounted unit.
Exactly.
Okay. That's today's Countywide. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again next time.